Okay. So you're all top producers. You've all been, new to the business, in the business a while. I have one question. And this came from a top producer the other day, and I was chatting. How do you determine at the end of every day how well you've done in your business? Nobody wants to answer. You guys don't look at the end of the day and go, okay, was this a good day? Was this a bad day?
I think it's a great
Would
day
you-
when I have a roof over my head and my house is warm.
Okay.
That's
So let's flip this over to business now. How do you determine at the end of your business day if it was a good day or not?
My to-do list is checked off, nothing left by 7 o'clock.
Okay, good. How do you know if it's a successful day? Completing the to-do list, absolutely.
Or not completing your to-do list because you had other activities that were bringing in more business.
Excellent. Yep. Good point.
Realistic answer?
Yeah.
How exhausted I am.
How exhausted you are? Okay. Okay. So here's the answer from a top producer that I've known a long, long time. And I said, like, how do you determine? His answer is, I track how many questions I actually asked during the day. If this is a sales business, his whole theory is if you're not asking questions during the day, you are not qualifying, you're not closing, because to do those two tasks, which are money-making activities, closing and prospecting, if you're not asking questions during the day, you have not worked on closing or building your business by prospecting. I thought that was very insightful. So at the end of a day, if you track during the day, you track how many questions you are actually asking, it's going to determine if you're moving your business forward or were you just doing clerical work during the day. So the next question is, see how I blended that right in? Next question.
Look at that segue.
Okay.
just like a pro, Scott, just like a pro.
What questions should you be asking? And to who?
Third party people.
Yeah, third party is good, but who's the party? Who's the party, right? And how do you ask them? One of the questions is your social media post, and we were just talking about promoting a new listing, is it just information or are there questions to create action?
Yeah, I think
When
I'm sorry, Scott. I
Oh,
think
no, go ahead.
we had a conversation about that, about asking open-end and closed-end questions when we were talking about during the media, one of the meetings that Michelle hosted. I think that's open-ended questions are the way to like drag information out of somebody. Make them answer.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason I'm asking this question, because the person I was talking to was myself. Yesterday, I had the sign call. And the sign call came, and it was basically started off with the party, I literally just put the sign up and I was driving away, or I was basically an hour and a half later, let's call it. And I get the sign call. First, I answered my phone and they said, yes, we were just driving through this neighborhood and saw this sign. Great. So typically what I hear is when you get a lead of any type, Okay, sign call, internet call, whatever it is, referral, you have to ask questions. And so what I've discovered is a lot of agents, because of this market shift, have really not been trained or don't practice how to move clients forward, move prospects forward by asking questions. So one, you have to make sure you practice doing that. Okay. And there's all kinds of, we've got script books, we've got all kinds of literature and information about, what questions, how to ask questions. But what I discovered yesterday, what it reminded me of was you always have to be closing, which means you always have to be asking questions. If you're just giving the information, then you're not closing, you're not moving the people forward. You're not having the opportunity of turning them into a deal. So from this sign call yesterday, it turned out that just on my short conversation with them, but always asking questions, I have found out that they currently own a home in Port Colborne. Their daughter is in grade 8. They're looking to move to an area that has a good high school. They already looked at a house that they lost out in one in Niagara Falls, in an area where the good high school is. They're not looking to make the move or buy anything until after March, because she's in the same school till June. Their price range is $850,000. They're not working with an agent. And I said, this is all from just asking a simple questions. Okay, and listening to their answer. And the one question was that started this all off was, how much is the property? Simple answer is, well, this property, we literally just listed it. It's a home that came back from the builder. The builder received it back, originally sold for $1,175,000. Today, it's $999,999, well below where it has sold for before. Is this the price range that you're looking in? And is this in the price range that you can afford? No, because, and it's 2,473 square feet. This is where the conversation changed. He said, well, we were just in that subdivision. Literally, they're sitting outside the house. Yeah. We just left a builder who has the same square footage for $775,000. I said, you need to turn your car around and go buy that right now. I said, if you can get the same square footage, then you need to turn around for a couple $100,000 less. You need to turn around and go buy that place right now. I said, before you do though, can I ask one question? He said, sure. I said, how big's the lot? Oh, it's 34 by 98. Oh, I see. Okay, so this lot's 50 by 120. So for a couple $100,000 less, you're going to buy the same square footage, but you do understand that your rooms are now going to be long and narrow. Because you're only on a 34-foot wide house, you're going to have long and narrow rooms. Is that something you're looking for? Or would you prefer wider, more windows, easier to put furniture in? Well, we don't want anything long and narrow. The house we're in is totally, without me asking that one question, right? Or having the knowledge of same square footage on a narrower lot is a totally different layout than the same square footage on a much wider lot. But you have to be, when you have the questions from consumers, you have to understand that they're looking for the reason to hang up the phone or get out of the conversation. So you have to ask questions. From asking that question, then we got into the whole thing about space, timing, how soon do you need it? And then that turned into have a house, not sure if we're going to sell or not sell, depending on the price, depending on location. Well, I literally said to them, I said, look, I've got my business partners in our Niagara Falls office. They are excellent at what they do. They're very familiar with all the high schools. They're very familiar. How about I have them call you right back right now? They might be able to come show you that property today. If not, they can certainly guide you on the best schools for the education for your daughter? Is that something that's important to you? I immediately called Anita and Jason. They called them right away. They've now got conversations going with them and appointments set up. All because of asking questions. So that's why today's topic is, how many questions a day are you asking?
Clearly not enough.
Clearly not enough. And that's pretty normal. Pretty normal.
Can I ask a
And
question?
then, absolutely.
You're gonna love this. How many questions a day should we be asking?
Enough to get an appointment.
There's my first question.
Enough to get an appointment. Because understand that if you are not talking to people about getting an appointment, of either a showing, sending them information, being able to add them to your database. If you're not asking those questions, then all you're doing is clerical work, which anybody can do. Any consumer can go on and get most of the information. But if you're not asking enough questions, proper questions, to be able to take a next step, an appointment, right? Then you haven't asked enough questions. This market that we're in is going to be here for a bit, okay? Lots of you have not been in this kind of marketplace. You should have a goal of at least getting one appointment a day, whatever that is, adding somebody to your database, being able to send them information, being able to book them for a showing, being able to book them for a follow-up appointment, being able to book someone in your database for a coffee. Okay? That should be your target, but you can't do that without asking questions. Yeah, Elizabeth?
I think something about the way you asked the questions too struck me is it felt like it came from a place of curiosity. It wasn't like a attacking kind of question, like, you don't want this. Why do you want this? It's like the way that you asked it was something I noticed that I think will cause people to open up more as well.
And yes, and that's a lot of years of practice, right? But even when I was starting out, I practiced the dialogue, I would practice. And the reason is that you want to have conversation, doesn't matter online or if you can ask a question that relates to what they're trying to achieve, then they're going to feel more comfortable because you're not treating them as a number, you're treating them as an individual who has a specific need, right? So my need turned away from me trying to sell the house that they were calling on to be able to service them, to help them achieve their goal of making sure their daughter got into a good school. Right? So you have to find how can you service them for what their needs are? And sometimes that may involve you, may not. Right? But you have to practice those questions. You got to be able to phrase the question in such a way that they're not feeling defensive. Right? And if your questions are geared to try and slam them into something, they're going to know it.
I had a really good conversation with Eric, actually was in the office yesterday. And he had a listening appointment, but he was here early, and so just got to chatting, and he asked me how my business was going. And I mentioned, I have this buyer client and we've looked at a few places. She's at the point now where she's getting a little bit frustrated, but she still has hope. She sees the listings in her price range, but there's always something that's off about it that she doesn't love. So we talked about it, and he told the story of, I guess, him and his wife bought a house about 12 years ago now. And he said that really helped him recenter his like more empathetic questions because he had just gone through the home buying process. He had just looked at houses. So all his attitude towards buyers, questions towards sellers, like that all changed again because he had just recently gone through the process and remembered, oh my gosh, this is exactly what my clients are going through. So it's always leading with empathy, leading with curiosity, leading with servicing whatever their need is instead of just being transactional.
Well, it's, I think, when I was training salespeople at Rogers, the number one thing that a lot of agents were saying to me is they feel bad asking questions. They feel like, oh, I'm being intrusive. And it's like, it's far from the truth. I think when you ask the right questions, people will give you the information you're looking for. You just got to keep on asking those questions. Something's going to hit. And people love talking about themselves and what they do in their business and everything. You got to keep on asking those questions. Recently, I tried to buy a car. I was close to buying a car. Not once did the salesperson ask me any questions about myself. What do I do? Nothing. I was asking her questions. I found out so much information about her, how she just started this business. She just started doing sales. She had another client that she sold to. Like, she's giving me all the information I could ever want. Not once did she ask me, well, what do you do? You know, why are you here? Why do you need a car? Like, nothing. Nobody asked me anything. And that was a failure on them, because if they would have just asked questions, they would have found out what I'm looking for and tried to help me in that situation. But, missed opportunities because, again, some people feel like, I don't want to ask because I feel bad. I don't want to be too intrusive. And it's like far from the truth.
Guilty. I just had this conversation with Jade. Jade was in the office last week and I was asking him about how it's going, and he's huge into networking. Very active in his community, always asking questions. That's how he adds to his database. And I said to him, frankly, that's something I'm working on. I'm not somebody that was like asking all these questions and follow-up questions and all this. And it's like, I'm so guilty of, like, mom would ask me stuff about my friends. I'm like, I don't know. They're like, oh, this. And I'm like, oh, I have no idea. So it comes with practice, right? Like, as you said, you've been doing this a long time, and not to like defend these people, but to her benefit, like, she's new to this. Like,
Of
that's
course.
not something that a lot of people teach.
That's right.
So it definitely comes with practice. And as you said, we have the script books, we have all that, and
We have our friend here. Let me introduce my friend here.
I'm scared.
This is my friend Gemini. And so 3:30 this morning, when I woke up thinking this would be a good topic to have on
3:30.
today's discussion.
Thank you for not emailing me.
Well, you may want to check. I did email.
Yeah.
So I figured at 3:30 in the morning, I thought, I'm going to ask my friend Gemini, what questions do top realtors ask consumers? And this is the answer I got. That's a great question. Top realtors use strategic questions to thoroughly understand their clients' need, motivations, and expectations. This helps them provide highly tailored service and efficiency to achieve the best results. The questions asked often fall into a few key categories, whether the client is a buyer or seller. Now, I'm a realtor and I've got this AI friend of mine telling me the questions that, through their research, that the consumers are always inquiring about. Probably good questions to know, wouldn't you think? Here we go. For buyers, these questions focus on defining the ideal home and ensuring the client is prepared for the buying process. Defining needs and wants. Why do you want to buy a house now? This helps uncover the motivation and urgency, job change, new family member, or desire for more space. What is your preferred location, and what specific neighborhood characteristics are most important to you? Example, schools, commute, amenities. What are the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves in your new home? Distinguishing between essential features and wish list items. What would be a definite deal breaker for a property? How long do you plan to live in this home? Helps gauge the importance of resale value and long-term features. Under the heading of financial and timeline readiness, what is your comfortable price range and have you been pre-approved for a mortgage? Crucial for setting realistic expectations and confirming financial readiness. What is your timeline for finding and purchasing a home? How much cash do you plan to contribute for the down payment and closing costs? So, and that goes on, next topic would be communication and experience. How do you prefer to communicate? Text, call, email, and how often do you expect updates? This sets clear communication expectations. Have you worked with a real estate agent before? What did you like or dislike about that experience? Have you seen properties online or in person that you liked? And if so, what specifically attracted you to them? So if this is coming from AI, AI is generated from inquiries from the public. So these would be, if I was looking at putting together a buyer's information, a online YouTube talking about anything, the top questions that buyers, information buyers are looking for, I would break it down to these topics: defining needs and wants, financial and timeline readiness, communication and experience. Like, there's your topics, there's the questions, right? For sellers, really centers on the property's value, the seller's motivation, and the marketing strategy. Motivation and timelines, the first heading. Why are you planning to sell your home now? Understanding the root cause, either downsizing, moving for work, or financial reasons, informs the negotiation strategy. What is your desired closing date and what's your plan for your next home? Is it a quick sale, longer timeline? Next heading, the property's value and condition. What do you believe is the fair market value of your home and what price are you hoping to achieve? What are the best features and unique selling points of your home and neighborhood? What repairs or improvements have you made to the property? Are there any major repairs or issues that need to be disclosed? Next topic, working relationship and expectations. How do you prefer to handle showings and what is the best notice time for us to request a showing? What are your expectations for my marketing plan and frequency of open houses per se? How often and by what method would you like to receive feedback and updates on the marketing and showings? A top realtor asks these types of detailed questions to act as a consultant, not just a salesperson. To your point, Elizabeth, that you were talking about. Ensuring they are perfectly aligned with your goals. So, like, to me, it's the information and how and what questions and how your marketing strategy, your promotion strategy, your online presence, the information you're talking about on your YouTube station. It's all readily available right here. But it gets down to one thing: asking questions. Right? Asking questions and practicing. If you know that these are the type of questions that the consumers are asking, what do you got to practice? You got to practice on, okay, if I know these are the questions, what kind of answers am I going to get from them? And then how do I move that conversation further down the line based on the response you get from the consumer? Okay. Oh, here's one that again, I was up for about an hour, so like Gemini and I would have lots of conversation.
When do you sleep?
You tell me this isn't a question that you should have answers to. What is the best type of market for a move-up sale and buy, and why? Do you have the answer? Do you not think that consumers are putting in, I have an existing house now, is this the right time to move? Is this, should I be looking at selling my condo and buying a freehold? Those are questions that consumers are online discussing. If they're not, they will be, because at 3:30 in the morning, I asked AI this question. So we know that this is what's going to happen. Here's the answer. The best type of market for a move-up buyer, someone selling a less expensive property like a condo to buy a more expensive one like a freehold house, is a buyer's market or a cooling, softening market. This is counterintuitive because the condo might sell for less, but the advantage of the trade-up is magnified in this environment. I sound like an expert, don't I? Like, it was seconds. Why a buyer's or softening market is best. In a buyer's market, prices are typically declining or stagnant, and there is a higher inventory and less competition. Under heading number 1, favorable price differential. This is the most crucial factor when a market is cooling. The price of a more expensive property, the house, typically falls farther and faster in dollar value than the price of a less expensive property, the condo. An example, if a $600,000 condo falls by 10%, you've got a $60,000 loss. If a $1.2 million house in the same market might fall by 15%, it's a $180,000 loss. The net effect, the gap, and we've talked about this. We've always talked about the gap, okay? The net effect, the gap between the sell price of the condo and the buy price of the house has shrunk. Your buyer may lose $60,000 on the sale of their condo, but saves $180,000 on the purchase of the house, resulting in a net gain of $120,000 in purchasing power. Number 2, lower risk and better negotiation. A cooling market shifts power from sellers to buyers, offering critical advantages for the purchase side of the transaction. The ability to include conditions. Buyers can confidently submit offers with protective conditions like financing and home inspection. In a seller's market, these conditions are often waived, forcing the move-up buyer to take significant risks. Hey, I'm going to go work with this person. This is a very knowledgeable person. Strategic timing. They can put the condo on the market first, the safest approach, to know exactly how much money they have, and then take their time to find the right house without the pressure of looming closing date or bridge loan. Next heading, more inventory and less competition. There are more houses to choose from. They stay on the market longer, and bidding wars are rare, allowing for a thorough, unpressured decision on their dream home. All of you should have this information on your website and in your marketing material, because this is what consumers are looking for. Why a balanced market is second best. And it goes in talking about, being balanced. Here's the one that after the market we came through, why a seller's market is the worst. In a seller's market, high demand, low supply, the move-up buyer is a significant disadvantage. Massive price gap. Well, the condo will sell high, the house will sell even higher, often resulting in the buyer having to finance a much larger, more expensive differential. Higher risk purchase. They must usually buy the house first, often having to waive all conditions, then race to sell the condo on a tight timeline. This is the highest stress, highest risk scenario for a move-up buyer. All because asking questions. And I can tell you, based on our discussions, on our sessions that we do, we've talked about the gap. We've talked about, is this the right market for a move-up buyer? Well, there's all the information right here explaining that, yeah, this is the great opportunity to be able to look at moving up, taking advantage of that lesser gap that we've talked about, okay? So the questions you're asking during the day, the questions that you're asking on your social media, are they moving the consumer forward? Because I gotta tell you, what I just read, majority of the realtors in our industry will have no clue how to explain. But do you? Can you show that as an opportunity? Can you prepare questions to put out to a consumer using even some of these bullet point headlines to be able to start those conversations? Absolutely, you can. But you need to be doing it daily, and you need to figure out how many questions a day are you asking that's moving your business forward. Thoughts? Y'all look like you just woke up and you're looking at me going, what the hell is he talking about?
Well, I think it's,
Oh, sorry. I think my only thing would be to practice, like you said, and know exactly what you're doing. Because I think there's a difference between asking questions and interrogating. And I think people get very, very defensive if you interrogate. So I think part of the art to gathering that information through questioning is your delivery.
Yep, excellent. Yeah, and you only can better your delivery with practice. Okay, so work with a colleague, work with somebody in the company, work with a friend, practice your questions, and understand that every time you go out on an appointment, as soon as you finish that appointment, just sit down with yourself and go, how did I do? Was there any other way I could have done something differently? Is there another question that I could have asked? Okay. Also, don't be afraid when you're going in on an appointment. Have your questions prepared. Don't worry about trying to memorize it. Have them prepared.
I was on Threads this morning and I screenshotted a question somebody asked because I wanted to like reply to it in a similar way. And it's literally somebody asking, Ontario real estate temperature check. Is it logical to buy a condo, even if you can afford it, or keep your savings in invested TFSA when your rent would be cheaper than a mortgage? I've been told that holding for now is the best financial move, but I want other options. Everyone replying is not a real estate agent and is telling this person not to buy. And I thought to myself, wouldn't that be a great opportunity? Somebody literally asked that question for me, and we can take the opportunity to reply to that in probably the form of a video. But people are asking these questions and they want guidance, like you said.
Yeah. So that is, and that is, the important part. And just by talking about, even if you took the information that, my friend Gemini gave me about, is it the right move for a move up buy? Just take out the words move up buy, because the information that is here talks about the best market to buy in is a buyer's market, not a hot market, and why, right? And it gets down to such, I love the wording that's in here when it talks about, taking advantage, less competition, less stress. Like those are hit home comments for a consumer. Anyway, so that's what I was doing this morning, thinking about what session we're going to talk about today. So, who's dealing with what? Who has a question on anything? Is this kind of information helpful, and how are you going to implement it into your daily activity? Is my question. Well, it's great for me to supply this to you, but how are you going to implement it in your daily activity?
I have an idea. When I was a manager again at different companies managing salespeople, it was always that obstacle of, I don't want to ask too many questions, I don't want to feel intrusive. The challenge I gave to them was, let's take work out of the equation for a second. When was the last time you gave somebody a compliment? Right? When was the last time you went out somewhere for dinner somewhere and you said, hey, whoever made this, can you let them know this was absolutely delicious? Start there, right? Because when we give compliments and we recognize people for what they're doing, I'm telling you, it sets the day off fantastic for them and for you as well. You know, you can start there, because once you start doing compliments like that, it just continues on. And you can implement that into your conversations with people as well.
Excellent point.
Yeah, when we were door knocking, Matthew and I, we went into one house and we saw that they had like this cactus in the front and then a banana tree, which is just insane. That was the first question I asked when we door knocked, because already the person was opening up the door. Yes. I'm like, how did you grow this? Like, what is this? Is this a banana tree? How is that even possible? And then for the next 20 minutes, she's telling us everything we needed to know: who she is, her husband, her kids, her daughter, who moved in where, they're thinking about buying. It was 20 minutes of just sitting there listening and complimenting her on this incredible front yard that they have. And it starts that way.
Yeah, excellent point.
But I challenge you guys to do that. Next time you go somewhere, if you go somewhere to eat, just say, hey, can you let whoever made this, can you let them know this is absolutely fantastic? Number one, the look on people's faces is like, wait a second, a compliment? That's impossible. Restaurants don't get compliments. That's number one. Number two, the reaction you'll get is just incredible, because your service now goes to the next level, because it's like, oh, these are nice people. We're going to give them even better service.
And I think off that point of like practicing, as I had mentioned earlier, I had said to Jade, you know, I'm working on asking follow-up questions and stuff like that. So I did it in a more relaxed setting. I ended up watching the very devastating World Series Game 7 at a friend's house. And she's my best friend and she lives with her boyfriend. I'm very close to them, but they invited another couple who I didn't know. And it was just the 5 of us. And you know what? I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to practice asking more questions. And it wasn't intrusive at all. We were chatting and I, you know, gave myself the challenge to ask more questions, ask follow-up questions. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, oh, that's great. You guys went to the same school. Fantastic. Like, ask follow-up questions. And I left thinking, hey, I did pretty good. I did ask more follow-up questions than I would have previously. So yeah, definitely practicing. I also know that a lot of people on this call, and if you haven't before, you can ask me for it, but a lot of us have those weekly trackers, or we track our numbers in, you know, in sales, in whatever, in phone calls, whatever you're doing, but take it one step forward and track how many questions you ask. You don't have to, you know, write down the specifics, but just tally, you know, how many questions did I ask? Or as Scott said, sit with yourself. If it's after an appointment, after a phone call, sit with yourself and just like a little scratch pad, little notes app in your phone, and just say, okay, I asked this question. What could have been the next follow-up question that I didn't ask? Or what was their reaction to my question? It's probably going to be very positive, because everyone on this call and in this room, like, you're all very empathetic people. You all ask questions in a non-interrogation way. So that's how I personally would track it. Does anyone else have thoughts on how they would track how many questions they're asking and what the outcome is?
Not track, but I mean, what I'm teaching Matthew is write down, like the second you ask these questions and after you're done for, let's say, the door knocking session, write everything down. I tell him, hey, what was the dog's name? Write that down. You know, everything you can remember, write it down in that note. So that way you have now a template for that client. And then again, other questions start popping in your head that you're like, oh, I should have asked this, or I should have figured that. It helps you for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Nancy.
Yeah, to follow up with what Herb's saying, I mean, what's really good, especially for door knocking, is these mini clipboards. Is like you can take notes as soon as you leave every place, you know, and you've got it all, like, you know, it's not a big clipboard, it's not intimidating. You can just write down like 123 Main Street, nice lady, has a dog, has a tree, that kind of thing. And as soon as you walk away from the house, write that stuff down.
Like a perfect.
Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, I was just saying that's like the perfect size clipboard. I need to know where you got it because it's so cute.
Oh, it is perfect. Like I love it. I take this to all of my listing appointments and I have all of my questions on the front and it's just half pieces of scrap paper. They just got the Realty Executives on the back. It's perfect. Love it.
Okay, my friend and I chatted a little further. Question is, I am a realtor in Ontario, Canada, and want to know what are the top 10 questions buyers want answers to in today's market. Here's what I get. That's a great question, and focusing on buyers' concerns is the key to providing excellent service. Based on the current dynamics of the Ontario real estate market, specifically around affordability, high interest rates, and fluctuating prices, here are the top 10 questions buyers are likely to ask you and the critical topics they address. Question number 1, where do you see interest rates going in the next 6 to 12 months, and how will that affect my mortgage qualification and monthly payments? What's really nice, excuse me, what's really nice about this, the way it came up, is right beside that question is core concern addressed. So if I was looking at doing some kind of social media or putting stuff out to my database, I would basically say, here is, I do get questions a fair bit of what's going on with the interest rates. And the concern is affordability and rate risk. This is the most crucial question right now, directly linking high rates to budget and qualification stress. So like it literally, the next one is, are we currently in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a balanced market in this specific neighborhood? The paragraph beside it says negotiation, leverage, and pricing. Buyers need to know if they have room to negotiate on price, terms, or conditions, or if they need to be prepared for competition. Number 3 is, what is the actual all-in cost of buying a home, including closing costs like land transfer tax, legal fees, and home inspection? The paragraph beside the heading is budget certainty. Like, these are topics that you can take and literally build out your social media marketing, your website, your blog topics are all right. Like, it's all right here. And it says buyers fear hidden costs. They need a clear upfront breakdown of all expenses beyond the sticker price, especially Ontario's land transfer tax. Next question. What is the likelihood of home prices declining further, and what are the specific risks of buying now versus waiting? The question everybody's asking. Price stability and market timing. Buyers are concerned about buying at a peak and seeing their home equity drop. Price correction, so you want to address that. Given the current market, should I include conditions like financing or home inspection in my offer? The heading is actually risk mitigation. Like, you're telling me if a consumer sees an agent talking about price stability and market timing, risk mitigation, budget certainty, negotiation, leverage, and pricing, affordability, and rate risk, they're not going to want to know more about those topics? Absolutely they are, right? So where did I land? Okay, next question is, can you show me the comparable sales comps from the last 3 months and how do they justify the asking price of this property? The heading is valuation transparency. Buyers are skeptical of list prices and want concrete evidence at the price if the price aligns with recent sales in the area. Another question, number 7. What is the property's history, including how many times has it been sold recently, and if it has ever been listed and failed to sell? So again, the heading is property insight and vetting. So buyers, they're looking to uncover any red flags, such as a house with a history or a seller who has been chasing an unrealistic price. What are the pros and cons of buying a condo versus a freehold home right now, and which segment is seeing better appreciation? The heading on the other side says investment strategy and trade-offs. This question helps buyers weigh lifestyle versus potential long-term investment return, especially with condo fees being a significantly monthly cost. This one says, how is the lack of housing supply and new construction affecting the inventory levels for homes in my price range? Inventory availability. Can you recommend trusted local professionals such as a mortgage broker, home inspector, and real estate lawyers? The heading on the other side says trust and vetting. So really, it really talks about things that they are interested in. So I went further. And it says, these questions indicate that your buyers value transparency, detailed financial information, and market expertise. Would you like me to find out about specific government grants or tax rebates available for first-time home buyers in Ontario to help you prepare an even more comprehensive affordability package for your clients? Man, like just in this one little segment, there's friggin' like a dozen topics that us as realtors can speak to, ask questions about, ask the consumer, is this information you'd like to know about? I don't think there's one consumer out there going to go, no, I'm really not interested in anything to do with, market expertise or financial information. So I said, yeah, please.
Always say please.
This is where you can truly differentiate yourself. Preparing a clear, detailed list of financial incentives directly addresses the buyer's core concern about affordability and total cost of ownership. Here are the key federal and provincial grants, rebates, and programs available to first-time home buyers in Ontario for 2025, based on the latest available information. And it literally goes in, cameras, but it literally goes into every program, the amount, how to get it, who to contact, the reason. And then it said, where did I go then? Okay, that's where I ended up going for a move-up buyer. So a buyer that currently lives in a condominium, what questions, concerns, and that's where I started. But it literally goes, it's like handing you the wish list of every buyer and consumer out there. But it all gets back to how many questions a day are you asking? Who are you asking them of? And that's my rant from 3:30 this morning. So hopefully there was some takeaway in this conversation. Hopefully you will look at your daily practice. And to get back to the one question I answered is, you should be asking enough questions to add one activity at the end of the day. Adding somebody to your database, booking an appointment, okay? Getting permission for a follow-up. Okay? That's how you should be structuring your day. Okay, I chatted a lot. What else is on the go? Who's got what? You heard about my new listing and what's going on with that one?
You're gonna open house on Saturday and shoot some content as well prior to that as well. So
Yep, that's good. That's the one in Thorold.
yes.
Yep. You're gonna need, I would say 6 or 7 signs if you can get them. 5 will work, but I would anticipate that probably to drive from both sides of the subdivision. Okay.
I may go by the Welland as well to see the modular development you were talking about and the factory as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be there Saturday, but you.
I'll just drive around, at least I
Yeah.
say I've been
Yeah.
there before.
He did, actually, I just got a email from him. He did send me the deck that they're using for their sales process. He said it is being updated. I haven't opened, I literally just got it before the meeting started, so I am gonna go through that and then get that to you. Okay, who's got listings? I don't care where they are in Ontario.
Nancy.
I have a listing appointment at noon on the other side of Sprucedale. I'm not excited about going to because the roads are really bad. One of my listings firmed yesterday, and we have an offer on the go for a property that they are trying to purchase. So
Super.
yeah, That's kind of what's going on with me. I only have 4 listings right now, but probably 5 after I go to this one today.
We're laughing at Elizabeth's face.
What?
4 or 5 listings, man. That's awesome.
The thing is, they're all lower dollar value. Like it's not, they're not $1 million
They
plays.
all,
That's
they
okay.
all add up. I
Yeah,
don't care. They all add up.
Yeah, they do.
I have two
Oh, and I've
really
got-
interesting listings. Sorry.
What do you
But
got?
I've got another one up the road here too.
I have one just on the outskirts of Perth that is, it's called Perth Major Outfitters, and it's about 7 acres with about 1,700 feet of waterfront. And it's a really interesting business. It hasn't been run to its potential over the last couple of years, but it's a great opportunity for someone that wants to get into a recreational business. And-
Kathy, can you expand a little more? Because Elroy, who's on the call here, him and Rob really do well with businesses like camps and things like that. So
Mm.
what exactly is the business that you're describing?
Thanks, Scott.
Well,
You
they-
took the words out of my mouth.
I can send the listing out to everyone, but it is an outfitter's business. So they rent kayaks, canoes, stand-up boards, and they have a mini golf there. But there's so much more potential. The previous owner used to host weddings there, have festivals, all sorts of activities. I went there. I took my design team there back in the day to do like team building for a day, and yeah, they used to have seminars and stuff like that. Outdoors, all outdoors.
Send me
Okay.
details on that, Kathy.
I will, for sure. So, sorry, who
Okay.
was it that wanted the details?
Elroy.
That's
All
me
right.
over here.
Okay, thanks, Elroy. I will.
Cool. What
4
else you
hours from home, you're making me drive.
got?
Well, Perth is a lovely town, so it's beautiful. Lots of architecture in there and beautiful historical community. And my other interesting listing is on the St. Lawrence, just outside of Brockville, and it's about a 3-year-old home. It's absolutely stunning, and not a far drive from Toronto.
How much water? Is it right on the St. Lawrence, Kathy?
Well, this one's actually has view of the St. Lawrence. It has the property in between the house and the St. Lawrence is owned by the township, so it will never be developed. But they have access to the St. Lawrence and a permit for their dock and everything right on the water. Yes.
Oh, so they have the availability to have a boat and everything, the dock and everything?
Yes, absolutely. He had a 30-foot boat there.
Super. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, who else has got something? Again, it doesn't matter anywhere in Ontario. We got people from all over. Okay, then there's a task. We gotta get more listings. You can't get more listings unless you ask what?
Question.
Questions, right? Gotta ask questions. Questions, and follow-up.
Yes.
So,
Speaking of follow-up, anyone who did miss yesterday's social media power hour, that will be on YouTube later today, along with this recording. As a reminder for Realty Executives Plus, our holiday luncheon is Wednesday, November 26th at noon. Please RSVP before the 22nd with a fun fact about yourself, because we're playing a little game. The social media power hours only have 2 Tuesdays left, the 17th and the 24th, and then we're wrapping that up.
Oh, regarding the fun fact, let them know you got the 3 people that sent you a fun.
Yes.
Yeah, don't say that, please.
What Herb is alluding to is 3 of our agents sent in their fun fact, and it was exactly the same. And the fun fact is that they're old.
You can't use that one, so.
So I've changed it. Funnily enough, I know enough about all of you people that I can make up my own fun facts. So those have been changed.
Can
But
I
I thought
guess
that was
one of
pretty
the
funny.
people? Can I guess one of the people who sent that in as his fun fact?
Yep. It is not your dad.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be him for sure. That's awesome.
But yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to let everyone know, Realty Executives International has been doing a lot more trainings and they're available through Prime Agent. If you check out the calendar, you can register for any of their trainings. They're all webinars. And even if you can't attend at that time, register to be able to get the recording sent directly to you. There's lots of really good ones about negotiations, about asking questions, scripting, stuff like that. So highly recommend checking those out. And if you have any questions, please reach out at any time. Because we love questions.
All right, anything else? Everybody got a situation you need to talk about, any of that kind of stuff? Everybody's good?
I think so.
All right, well, you know, next Wednesday when I start, I'm gonna ask how many questions did you do during the week? That'll be the
Hopefully-
opener.
Hopefully you will not have been up since 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I was only up for an hour. I went back to sleep. I was good.
Yeah, you know what? Just like a man, men can just do that. Women are just like, if I'm up, I'm up.
No worries. Best of luck. I thought this was a good session, so.
Very good.
Well,
I'm
excellent.
just-
Hey, thanks for everybody being here. We will, we're always here to help. So if you need to reach out, reach out. And thanks for sharing, and we'll see everybody, if not before, next week.
Okay, guys, drive safe. I don't know what the weather's like down there, but
Thank you.
yeah, it's pretty gross.
Mhm.
So everybody be safe.
Get snow in Mississauga.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.